Good afternoon, students. Teacher Jonas here. Today I'll be reviewing your final exam for Supplemental English. So remember, we use the open world book, and the units we've covered are units 9 and 11. Okay. First thing I want to do is get into the vocabulary section. So, okay, here we have the cover page of Unit 9. So, as you remember, Unit 9 was about relationships, getting along with other people. And we learned vocabulary based around personality types. Okay. So, down here in this um, story, what kind of friend are you? Okay. So, a lot of these words in bold, you'll see a lot of these words on your exam. So let's go through some of these again, just as a quick review. Let's see here. The generous friend. If you go to a cafe with friends, then you're happy to pay for the drinks because you like sharing and giving. So that's a lot of what being generous is, sharing and giving. It also shows that you are friendly. Um, and it's really just a part of being nice to people. Let's see. Remember the cool friend. You dress well, you look good, and you know it. You are very confident. This is another great word. Confidence is something that you develop in time, and it comes from really working on yourself, studying hard, increasing your knowledge, increasing your understanding of things, and then eventually you become just more confident in your ability. Down here, the reliable friend. So here's a good example. You don't forget things and you always help your friends when they need you. So being reliable, if you tell a friend you're going to meet them somewhere, you meet on time and you basically do what you say you will do. Okay. That is being reliable. If a friend needs to talk to you about a problem or an issue, you're there to listen to them. And that's just being a reliable friend. You can be a reliable student when you get your homework and your assignments in on time. So every week you guys have homework, and it shows that you are a reliable student and a reliable person if you meet the deadline that the teacher gives you. Okay. So it's a very good characteristic to be reliable. People can count on you to do what is expected. Okay. Also, some other vocabulary, being clever. Okay, here's an example. You're intelligent and you like reading and learning new things. So, being clever also comes from just being in the habit of reading and wanting to learn new things. Over time, you build a collective knowledge base, and people will perceive you as being clever if you have some knowledge or understanding of something that you can share with people. People will perceive you as being clever. Okay. Other words, busy, shy. Okay, being shy, not being comfortable around a lot of people. That is very normal and very common when you're young. And it takes time as you get older to build confidence, right? To be confident. Confidence as the noun. Okay. Confidence comes over time, right? Um, Here, being busy, you guys know this, having a lot of activities going on, whether at school or at home with your friends. That's just being busy, having a lot of things happening. Okay. So Go over these words that are in blue: reliable, confident, friendly, generous, clever, busy, shy. Okay. You will see these words on your exam. Other vocabulary will come from Unit 11. Okay, so here's the cover page of Unit 11. I really like this unit because it's about saving and spending. Knowing how to manage your money is a very important skill, okay? So in the lesson, we covered ideas around spending money. What do you guys like spending your money on? Are you saving money at the moment? Do you ever lend money? Do you ever borrow money? Have you ever wasted money on anything? So we had a nice conversation in the lesson about these ideas and these topics. We also covered these three different types of people. So do you remember this girl, Rani? So she is the saver. So she loves saving money. Learning how to save money is a very good skill early in your life because it always makes you feel more relaxed when you have money in the bank. Okay. Um, so what does she like doing? She likes looking for reduced items. So these are things in a shop that are selling for a lower price. So reduced items usually come at the end of a season. So at the end of winter, shops want to sell and get rid of their stock and prepare for the next season, right? Go into spring or into summer. And that's where you'll find clothing at a discount. So a discount is usually a percentage off, 10% off, 20% off. It's always nice getting a discount. You always feel like you're getting a good deal, right? So she talks about, obviously as a saver, she doesn't like lending money to people and she never borrows anything from somebody, right? Lending, you give money to someone and they pay you back later. Borrowing, you take money from someone, pay them back later. The other person is Kerala. She is the upcycler. So this is more of a thrifty personality type. It says here, she doesn't earn very much, so she has to be careful how she spends her money. So she's often looking for sales. And there's nothing wrong with looking for sales. You can always get a lot of good things in sales, whether it's clothing, shoes, electronics, books. You can always get good things. It's just that maybe they've been out for a few months, so it's not like the newest version or item or product. Maybe it's been around for 3 months, 6 months, and the stores just want to get rid of the extra stock. So you can always find a good sale, right? She likes looking for sales. She hates wasting things, right? Then we had David. Okay, David is the spender. So he earns a good salary. So remember, this is money that you get at the end of the month from a job or some type of work that you do for a company. His problem is that he likes to spend it all. He says, I'm not very good at saving money. I enjoy being generous. So remember this vocabulary word from Unit 9. I enjoy being generous and buying people presents. I go for a coffee or dinner with friends and I often pay the bill. Okay, another vocabulary word. The bill is what you get at the end of, say, a visit to a restaurant and you want to pay, you get the bill. In Thai, people say check bin or gipdang. Okay, means the bill. Once you pay the money for either something you buy in the store or at a restaurant, you get a receipt. Do you see down here? The receipt is usually a paper record of what you bought, okay, as you see down here, because I never keep the receipts for the things I've bought. I'm never sure how much money I've spent, right? So, David's problem is that he doesn't really know how to manage his salary very well. So at the end of the month, he has very little money left. So he needs to learn how to save his money more and better, right? Okay, so continue with your study through units 9 and units 11. And these words in bold you will see on the exam. Okay, guys, I want to move forward into the grammar section of your exam. So we're going to be looking at gerunds and infinitives. So let's go back here into Unit 9, and we're going to start with the verb ing plus ing. Okay, this is the gerund. So here are some great examples that we covered. When I'm sad, I love watching funny films. So you see that the verb ing follows another verb, but it really depends on the verb, okay? So you can see here, we use it after certain verbs like start, finish, stop, suggest, love, right? I suggest going to sleep early so you feel fresh when you're at school, right? For example, he stopped smoking um, to improve his health, okay? So this is a way that gerunds are used. Also, after adjectives and prepositions. Look at this here. Before sitting down to watch, I make some hot chocolate. Okay, so we went through these examples in your book, which will be for good review. So you see these verbs in the box here. So you can see how they follow particular verbs. Enjoy, finish. Let's take a look. I really enjoy visiting other countries. Okay, I go abroad as often as possible. Have you finished reading that book? I'd like to borrow it. So do you see how it follows certain verbs, adjectives, and prepositions? Okay. And again, we've covered this. So this is just a review to go back in your book here. Okay. Also, nice picture of the Grand Canyon. But on this page, okay, 118, we looked at infinitives. So verbs and adjectives with to plus the infinitive. So the infinitive is the base verb, but we add to it. Here are some examples. I needed to get a job. I decided to offer him a job in the kitchen. It's very exciting to work with her. So following verbs. Needed, decided. Okay, you see these are regular verbs with ed. So you see how the infinitive follows a verb. I needed to get a job. I decided to offer him a job in the kitchen. And you see how they follow adjectives. Remember, describing words. It's very exciting to work with her. It's easy to get stressed. So these are all describing words, and you see how the infinitive is used. These are verbs, and you see the infinitive, okay? And we went through all this, so you guys should have this completed. We did this in class, and we checked it all. So we went through this, right? It's easy to learn a new skill if you have a good teacher. Okay, so an adjective and then to learn a new skill. Great. So again, review this and how it's used. I want to go into a video right now just for extra explanation and more examples. Okay, so we're an overview. What is a gerund? When to use a gerund? What is an infinitive? And when to use it? So it prompts the following question: which of the following is an infinitive? So now you guys know it is to plus the base verb, right? To run.
The gerund and the infinitive are simply grammatical tools, which we use to construct a sentence. So it's not a difference as in say, oh, here you use a past simple and there you use a present perfect. Now take a look at these sentences. Sailing around the world is an adventure. I can't afford to go on holiday this year. In the first sentence, the sailing is what we call a gerund. In the second sentence, to go is what we call an infinitive.
Right.
Now, what is a gerund? A gerund is a verb to which ing is added. The gerund looks like a verb, but it is used as a noun. Moreover, it looks often like a continuous tense, but it is used differently. For example, eating in class is not allowed. Eating here is a gerund. Why?
Right.
Why? Because it's the subject of the sentence. It is a noun here.
So here it's used as the subject, eating in class. So you can see how the gerund is used as a noun and as the subject of the sentence. Eating in class is not allowed. So it looks like a continuous tense, okay, but it is used differently. And you can see down here in the past continuous. He was eating in class.
Here it's used as a tense.
Yes.
Now when do we...
So the first one was the gerund, the second one used as a tense.
First and foremost, we use the gerund often as a verbal noun. So a noun that looks like a verb.
Okay, so when to use a gerund, which is a verbal noun, okay? So a noun that looks like a verb, but is not used as a verb. And that is the word here, smoking, okay? Smoking in public areas should be banned. So this is someone's opinion, but you see how the gerund is used as a noun. Let's continue.
For example, smoking in public areas should be banned. So we have the verb to smoke. We've added ing, so we've made it into a noun, and it takes the position of the subject here. He quit smoking cigars when he was 25. Again, we've taken the verb to smoke, added ing, making it a noun, and then put it in the place of the object. So here it has become a noun. We also use the gerund after certain verbs. So these are not all the verbs, but these are the most common ones. To admit, to avoid, to consider, to deny, to enjoy.
Okay, so when to use a gerund? After certain verbs. Okay, so to admit, to avoid, right? Consider. So this is a nice list of verbs when a gerund can be used.
To keep, to meet, to practice, to quit, to remember, to stop, to understand, and to waste. So
Studying is the gerund here in this sentence. So here's an example. I think it's important to consider studying for your test tonight instead of going out with friends. Okay, so the word studying you see here is how it's used as a gerund.
So, for instance, I have to admit going to the cinema is very nice, for instance. For instance. We also use the gerund after prepositions. Besides swimming, we didn't do much. So besides here is a preposition. Or I'm thinking of quitting my job. Again, of is a preposition, so it is preceded by a gerund. He looked at her without saying a word. Again, without is a preposition.
Right, so all these underlined words are prepositions. And we've covered prepositions in class earlier in the year. And then you see how the gerund is used following different types of prepositions.
Now, what is an infinitive?
Okay, so what's an infinitive? So it just prompts a question here. Should I use a gerund in this example? My mom is quite fond of cooking. Yes, this is correct.
Now, what is an infinitive? The verb itself is infinitive and it can be preceded by to. So here we call it then to infinitive, or simply the verb itself, and that is the general infinitive. For example, to be honest, I love learning English. So to be is the to infinitive. I would rather help my mother. Here, help is the infinitive. Go and check if I've left the oven on. Go and check are both infinitives. Now, when do we use the to infinitive? Certain verbs take the to infinitive. For example, these verbs are to appear, to arrange, to bother, to choose, to decide, to feel, to hope, to learn, to manage, to offer, to plan, to refuse, to seek, to tend, to volunteer, to wish. So these are the most common ones. These are not all.
So these are not all, but these are some of the most common.
So I appear to have lost my keys, for example. So to appear and to have.
Right, so I appear to have lost my keys, right?
But then is to.
Okay, so choose the correct infinitive sentence. He appears to be late. He appears being late. Okay, so you remember the infinitive to plus verb. Okay.
We also use the to infinitive after adjectives. It was difficult to see through the fog, so here, difficult is an adjective. She's happy to help us. Again, happy as an adjective takes the to infinitive. And it is easy to bake a cake.
All right.
When to use a regular infinitive. After modals, we use the infinitive. Can, could, will, would, shall, may, might, must, and should are the modals, and these are generally preceded by the infinitive.
Right.
So, for instance, I might wonder where my keys are.
Right. So she gives the example. I might wonder where my keys are. I may watch a movie tonight if I have time, right? I must go to the dentist. Okay, so this is just using the base verb. So again, it depends on the verb that is being used.
Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, people tend to be sort of troubled by the gerund in the infinitive, and thinking that you either use the gerund or the infinitive, and there are strict rules to that. It is more complicated than that, but generally we can say that the gerund is used for things that have already happened. For example, he began playing baseball last year, as opposed to the infinitive, but is used for things that can or still happen. So it is still possible to win, or he will begin to play baseball next month, for instance. So that's generally the difference then between the two.
All right. So now we have covered the difference between the two.
Many verbs can be preceded by both the gerund and the infinitive.
Right. So again, it depends on the verb that you're using.
For example, to allow, to begin, to continue, to forget, to hate, to love, to intend, to like, to mean, to need, to prefer, to remember, to start, to stop, to try, to want. So it is a tricky thing, the gerund and the infinitive,
Yes.
but luckily in most cases it doesn't really matter which you use, only if you are careful enough to apply the rules that are.
Okay. So yeah, and we've covered this already. Oops, skip that. Okay. So, okay, so let's get out of that and let's come back to here. Okay, guys, so that's gerunds and infinitives. This is all covered in Unit 9 of your book. And in the workbook that I've asked you to submit to Google Classroom, that will be extra practice for you to get to improve your skills. Okay, I want to continue, guys, talking about modal verbs. Okay, so we're going to go back to your book, and we're going to go into Unit 9. So we're continuing in Unit 9 using will, may, and might. Okay, so we covered this. Do you guys remember when we looked at this story about the shoe factory? So this was an old shoe factory in the city that closed 20 years ago. And this area has been abandoned. It's had a lot of nature come back and kind of reclaim the land. So we looked at the story of this businessman, Mr. Jones. He wants to buy the land. So what might Mr. Jones offer to buy the land? And then we looked at this lady here. Mrs. Green works for the city. She wants to keep the land. Mrs. Green may. What may she do? So we looked at this in detail, and I want you guys to go back to the answers that you formed in the lesson. So remember that we use these to talk about the future. It all comes down to certainty. So if you're not certain about something, you can say something might happen. So remember here, we use will when we are not sure about something. Um, but there's some evidence, right? I think this will happen. I think that will happen based on something that you see or some evidence you have. A lot of will is when we are sure about something. Um, but again, it's a degree of certainty. Um, so if you think it will rain, maybe that's based on seeing some dark clouds. Um, we use may and might when we're not sure about something. Okay. So again, it's maybe like 50-50. Okay. So it's like saying, I might go out for dinner tonight if I have the energy. If not, I will stay home and cook at home, right? So using may and might, and this is a really good grammar box, how it's used in the positive and in the negative. And then we covered some of the examples, right? And when you get a choice like this, always look a little further in the sentence, and it will give you clues. Okay, so the park might or will open in January, but I think it will be delayed. Okay. Um, if you post the letter today, I'm certain it might arrive by Thursday, right? So if you're certain it will arrive, if the post, if you post the letter today, I'm certain it will arrive by Thursday. The park might open in January, but I think it will be delayed, right? So here you're not sure. Here you are more certain. So look in this one. Will be the tallest statue in the world, but I'm not sure. Okay, so your level of certainty is maybe 50%. So it may be the tallest statue. I'm not sure. Okay, don't invite him to the gig. I know he won't come. Okay, he hates that kind of music. So this person is your friend and you know he doesn't like this type of music. So your level of certainty is higher than 50%. So I know he won't come. Okay, you're very certain about that. Okay. So we looked at, Mr. Jones might turn this area into a parking lot, or he might develop some apartment buildings, right? Mrs. Green may turn this into a park, or she may put a swimming pool in this area. Because remember, this is a shoe factory that was in the middle of a town. But the problem is that it closed and it's not really being very productive. So again, yes. Let's okay, so remember we covered this page as well. Using will and shall for offers and promises. Okay, so we went through this in your book, refer to the answers that we developed together. Remember, shall is very polite. Shall I bring the dessert menu? Shall I? Shall we? So remember using shall with the subjects I and we, right? Shall we start now? Shall I carry that for you? Okay. And will. Okay, here's an example. I'll put the letter straight in the post bag. Okay, so we use will for making promises or to announce that we have decided to do something, okay? So you've decided to put the letter into the post bag, right? I'll put the letter in the bag. We use shall to make suggestions. Shall I uh, bring some food to the party, right? Shall I bring the music? Okay, so that is using will and shall for offers and promises. So this in here in your book will tell you exactly the difference between the two. Okay, so another part of your grammar section will be in Unit 11. So in Unit 11, we're covering future tenses. We're covering present simple, present continuous for future, and going to plus verb, okay? So we went through this page here, the present continuous for fixed plans, all right? Here's an example of some fixed plans. So a fixed plan is, it's already been decided. Example, we're meeting in front of Darby's, the big department store. Okay. It's not an intention. It's a fixed plan. It's already been decided. And you guys know the present continuous. So an action that's happening now, but it can be used for a fixed plan. So we're meeting in front of Darby's, the big department store. That means at a time in the future. Another example, I'm taking the 2 o'clock bus into town. Okay, that's a fixed plan. So we use the present continuous to talk about fixed plans for the future. Okay, and we went through this, so refer to the examples and the answers in your book. Okay. Um, let's continue. So remember we used the present simple for schedules and timetables. So up here we looked at Ben's diary for next week. Okay. So this is a schedule. This is Ben's schedule for next week. And when you look at it, Monday, 12:30, meet Sam for lunch. You can see that's present simple. Okay. Present simple for schedules. Meet Sam for lunch. 7 p.m., football practice, leisure center. 9 o'clock, dentist appointment. Um, also schedules and timetables. So, if you go to the airport, okay, your flight leaves at 9 p.m. tonight. The plane arrives tomorrow at noon. Okay. So whenever there's a timetable, like you guys have your timetable at school, okay? You could say, I study science next Tuesday, right? So that's using that as a review. And in here, you guys get some good examples. The restaurant opens at 7 p.m. The bus to town leaves at 2 p.m. Football practice begins at 7 p.m. Okay, so you see it's all present simple tense. And we went through a lot of this stuff, so please refer to your notes when you review. So making plans. We did cover all of this as well. Again, calendars. Okay, so more present simple. Meet Kara at the department store. Look for birthday presents. So that's your verb. That's your verb. Meet Jez at the supermarket. Collect drums. Okay, another present simple verb. Collect drums from the music shop. All present simple use. Okay. I'll get to that in a minute. So here we've covered the present continuous for fixed plans. Also, what you're going to find is going to plus verb. We use that for intentions, but these intentions bear conditions. For example, I'm going to watch a movie tonight if I have enough time. Okay. I'm going to eat upstairs in the canteen if the food looks good. So going to plus verb. This is for intention. I'm going to uh, I'm going to listen to music tonight. If I can access the stereo, because sometimes your parents want to use the music or your brother or your sister. Okay, so remember intentions. They have conditions. They're not 100%, but it's a very strong plan. Okay, right? I'm going to meet my friend this Saturday um, in the park if the weather is nice, right? If it's raining, I'm not going to meet my friend. Okay, it bears a condition different from present continuous for future, right? If I say I'm meeting my friend in the park this weekend, that's different, right? It's not going to plus verb. It's present continuous. I'm meeting my friend in the park this weekend at 11 a.m. No conditions, fixed plan. Okay? This is the subtle but distinct difference between these tenses. Okay, and so there's a lot of good examples, and okay, we went through all this in class and we went through all the answers. So please, guys, refer to your notes here to see how it's properly formed. And we covered all this as well, so please refer to your notes. Okay, so let's continue from grammar. So as a recap, your grammar is going to be gerunds, infinitives, modal verbs, and future tense. Present continuous for future, going to plus verb, and present simple for timetables and schedules. That's your grammar, guys. All of it nicely encompassed in units 9 and 11. Okay. Now, there's going to be a writing section on your exam. Guys, it'll be worth quite a bit. I think about 12 marks. So it's, a good portion of your exam. So in this unit here, guys, writing a review of a department store. So we went through this. Remember, I asked you, what is your favorite shopping mall in Bangkok? Because there are so many, right? You got Center Point and Central, Central World, and many more, MBK, and so on. So you guys are going to have a writing section where I want you to uh, explain to me what's your favorite shopping mall and why. I want you to write a review. So I would like you to form your writing based around these ideas here. So think about the building, think about the shop assistants, you know, where some places you get better service than other places. So are they friendlier in Central or Robinsons or CM Center? The different products, right? Some malls have a better selection of products than others. Places to eat, the changing rooms, right? You know, when you go into a shopping mall and you want to try on a shirt or some shoes or something in the the changing room, and it's very narrow and it's a very small space. And if you want to try on, 3, 4, 5 different items, it can be a bit cluttered. Other shopping malls have big changing rooms. So you got lots of space to hang your clothes and try on the different items comfortably. Prices. You guys know prices change depending on the shopping mall. And of course, depending on the products, right? So this is how I'd like you to form your writing. In paragraph 1, I want you to introduce the topic of the writing. Where is the store? What is the building like? So it's near. The building is, it has. Da, 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 da. Tell me some good points first. I think it's always good to start with the good points and then go into the bad points. Always better to start with the positive, right? So tell me some good points, guys. The high point, the best thing about the shopping mall. There are, right? There are many different restaurants and food options. There is an arcade on the top floor of the mall you like, right? These are all good things. Then tell me some bad points. The worst thing about the mall, right? Maybe the temperature is too high. It's not well air conditioned. Okay. A bad thing. It is, they are. Okay. So singular and using the plural. And then would like you to give me some sort of conclusion. All in all, I would recommend this mall. I wouldn't recommend this mall. I'm going to go back. So again, here you guys see an example what I explained earlier. Going to plus verb. I'm going to go back. That means you have an intention to go back. I'm not going to and back. So I'm not going to go back. So your intention is to avoid this mall, right? So yeah, so again, when you write your review, really think about what experiences you've had in the past. And this reading here that we went through, this was really good. So you see the gerund used here now, right? I love shopping. Okay, that's the gerund. So I was excited about my visit to Bryson's department store. It's 200 years old and it's in the city center. So do you see here in the first opening paragraph, you're telling the reader the age of the building and where it is, the location. These can be strong points, right? It's an amazing place, full of fantastic things on 6 floors. One of the best things about it is the food department. So you can see how these paragraphs are filled up with, this is a great example. There is also an excellent cafe with a great view of the city. For me, the high point of Bryson's is the clothes department, as the clothes are so on trend, right? And then you see the paragraph break. This is very important in a multi-paragraph piece of writing. You need breaks between your paragraphs because you're introducing a new topic or a new idea. So this is now the negative. The worst thing about Bryson's is that it's so crowded. It's also easy to get lost. Do you see how the infinitive is used after the adjective? It's also easy to get lost inside because it's so big and it's difficult to find any store plans. So some things you may like. The friendly shop assistants helped me, but there weren't many of them and I had to wait a long time to pay, right? Another negative point. So, give at least maybe 2 things you like or that you don't like, right? Another negative point for me is the high prices, right? Okay, so I mean, we all know there's certain malls in Bangkok, like Icon CM or Paragon, where it's just the prices of certain objects and items are just seem too expensive, right? A lot of it is the brand name. Okay, you buy a certain brand and people get a feeling of maybe higher society or some of higher luxury, right? A lot of the time that's why a certain item is a higher price. So here you might give a suggestion, right? Don't go there if you're looking for discounts, although they do have a great winter sale. Okay, again, another one of our vocabulary words in January. And then a very short conclusion. All in all, overall, okay, they mean the same thing. Overall, I would recommend Bryson's, and I'm definitely going to go. Okay, do you see another going to plus verb? So you're showing the intention you want to return or you plan to return. I'm definitely going to go back there next time I'm in the city. Okay. So I would like to see your writing section with the, I would like it to look something like this on the exam. Um, it can be a little bit shorter than this based on the time, but please do spend at least 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes on this activity on your exam, okay? Now, that is pretty much most of the exam, or I mean, that's all of the exam. The vocabulary, the grammar, your writing section, and of course, there's going to be a reading. Okay, there's going to be a reading section and some comprehension questions that I'd like you guys will answer as well. Um, let's go back a little bit right now to wrap up soon. Is uh, do okay, let's just review quickly. More use of modal verbs. Okay. So what are modal verbs, right? Modal verbs are special verbs which behave differently from normal verbs. So we also call them like helping verbs. For example, he can speak Chinese. So it shows the ability of his speaking. The modal verb can be negative. He can't speak Chinese. You know, if we take away the modal verb, he speaks Chinese. We don't know his ability. Does he speak well? Does he speak poorly? We don't know. So we add a modal verb. He can speak Chinese very well. He can't speak Chinese very well. So it gives us more information. Here, he should be here by 9 o'clock. So again, we use not to make the modal verb negative. Here are some examples. He should not be late. Or you can combine them. He shouldn't be late. They might not come to the party. They might not. So remember, it's a degree of certainty. He might come, he might not. We're not sure. Um, many modal verbs cannot be used in the past tenses or the future tenses. Okay, so these examples are not correct. He will, can go with like, okay, we don't speak like this. She, no, okay, I'm not even gonna try. So these are examples of what not to do, how not to write. Here are some common modal verbs. Can, could, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, will, and would. Okay. So in the book, we focus on may, might, and will. Okay. Because at the M1 level, okay, at the A2 Cambridge level, you guys are getting these kind of the early simplest modal verbs under your belt, so to say. Okay. Getting your understanding of the basics, may and might and will. As you guys get into Medium 2 and Medium 3 and Medium 4, you're going to learn how to use maybe more complex modal verbs. in more complex sentences, okay? Ought to, shall, should, would, and so on. Can and could. Yep. So just an example. And that will be kind of the majority of your test. Um, might, must. Let's cover this one. Okay, so these are just some examples here. But I don't want to get into should at all. Should is great, but you guys will learn this more in MAD EM2 and MAD EM3. Um, so let's go to number 2. Debbie said she was really busy this week, but I think so we're going to use one of these, right? I think she might show up at the party if she doesn't have to work overtime on Friday. Okay. Yeah, so different uses of modal verbs, but still all very good for you guys. And yeah, so it's good for you guys to make sure you practice and study, begin your studying at least 2 weeks before the final. That way you don't have any anxiety, you don't feel worried. Uh, so what I notice is that a lot of students who are still writing at the end of the hour, usually those are the students who they haven't spent much time studying beforehand, or they crammed, had a cram session. So that means like you only begin studying like 1 hour before or 10 minutes. Okay. That is a bad study habit, right? That it's going to leave you feeling stressed. And when you feel stressed in the exam, it's hard to think clearly. So I really strongly suggest you begin studying at least 1 week before. Go to Google Classroom, make sure you get all of your homework and assignments handed in. So, and then review all of the activities we've done and review your homework, especially the workbook. Okay, the workbook has a lot of good examples and good activities. So that's for good study habits. Sleep also. Make sure you get enough sleep. Guys, I really suggest getting at least 8 hours of sleep before exam day. Okay. I know like, we all like to stay up late. Okay. I know watching a movie or a TV series or playing video games, these are all fun things to do, but remember to prioritize what's important in your life, and that is your studies. At your age, okay, being 13 years old, really striving for that 4.0 GPA, okay, your grade point average. You guys want to get an A or an A plus in English, and it'll just make Madium 2 and Madium 3 that much easier, okay? And so to have a nice clear mind, get enough sleep, okay? Try and get at least 8 hours of sleep before the exam. So you're relaxed, you're fresh, and be hydrated, okay? Make sure you drink enough water in the morning. So try and drink at least 1 or 2 glasses of water or bottles of water before the exam. Use the bathroom and then line up. And so you'll be hydrated, you'll be well rested. And if you've been studying for at least 1 week, you'll be confident and you'll be relaxed. And you that should lead to a good score, right? And that it just comes down to habits. Okay, you want to have good study habits. And when you repeat these study habits, school becomes easy. Okay. If you put the little habits in, you develop this kind of work ethic, then you'll do well. You really, and you'll have a more rewarding experience. I think you'll just enjoy school more if you're well slept and you're well rested and you put the time in to study, right? I notice the students who struggle the most, they don't get enough sleep. They stay up until 2 a.m. Um, they have bad study habits. They submit their work late, and it really makes the whole school experience, the learning experience, that much more difficult, right? So remember, guys, good study habits make school easy and it makes learning more fun. Okay, I'm going to end on that. You guys enjoy your study, and I'll see you in the exam, and I'll say goodbye for now. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next week. Bye for now.